Hello and welcome along to another edition of the Where's My KitBag podcast, featuring your three lovely technicians of the media and film department. It's me, James.
It's me, Steve.
It's me, Carolina.
Nice.
Hey!
Well timed.
That was
Didn't
even
have to...
unprompted.
Nice.
I loved it. So yes, Carolina, welcome to the team.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Nice. We're excited to have you.
Absolutely.
But we feel wrong as a pair. Well, we're now a team of three, I think, forevermore.
We're too immature as a two,
Yeah.
if I'm honest.
There's too much banter.
Yeah. Too many memes. But to be fair, you say that's going to come into the trio as well. Every like little technician group is always full of memes.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Their own individual memes.
There's always memes somewhere.
Absolutely.
Memes. So, well, we'll talk you through the podcast while we actually do it. Also, for those new listening, hi, welcome. So in the pod each week, we basically just cover stuff that's been happening in the week, and then this comes out, well, usually in the week at some point, usually on Fridays now, because we record it on Thursdays. So if you want anything included in the pod, let us know. Just pop in the edit suite, but like, oi, maybe not oi, like, hello, greetings. Talk to us about things. So we are more than happy to include stuff in our pod. Glorious.
Absolutely.
Right, shall we start off with some news with you, Steve?
Yeah, by all means. So obviously, one of the most important pieces of news is we've had a new technician. Caroline, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got to becoming a technician? Did you go to uni or anything like that, or just tell us about yourself?
Cool. So, starting in college, going back to the day, I did a very similar course to like what the students do here. So I did a practical media course specialized in film, then went on to uni in England because I'm originally from Portugal, and I studied fine art in UCA Farnham.
Nice.
And I specialized in kind of like video art, but obviously we're doing other things like, I don't know, sculpture, painting, those types of things. But now here I am. I really wanted to be a tech, and now I'm a tech, so...
Nice.
Like
that. We were saying as well, one of the things we liked about your application is the fact that you had done the kind of fine art route, but in a video format, so it brings another different element to like the technician team, which is a cool thing to have.
Because I can't do art.
No, neither can I. But the biggest beneficiary of all of this is the students, because then they get a new outlook, which is great. And I was a student before becoming a technician, but with the fact that you weren't, you get completely, and the students and the department get a completely fresh set of eyes to kind of analyse everything and go, right, let's evolve.
Absolutely.
Which is quite cool.
See, I'm old and stuck in my ways because I've been here too long.
Well, I did quite a lot of experimental type films, so I'm happy to like bring that in.
Nice.
Ooh.
Like that.
Jane will love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jane will love
Very
that.
trippy.
Oh, all right, I'm keen. Trippy films, I'm in.
But yeah, so that's our biggest piece of news. And now to get onto the newsletter. So our header of the week is Dune, or June, whichever one you want to say it as.
June. Like a
the
sand
dune.
dune.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty spot on. I haven't seen it myself, but it's one of the few films that I've heard people have seen it that I've heard like amazing things, and only amazing things. I've not heard anything negative yet from
Ross. Loved it, said it was better than Bond, which
Oh, wow.
was very surprising to me because Ross loves Bond.
Wow, there you go.
So there you go, high praise.
So yeah, somebody said it was like Star Wars in terms of the concept, but in the desert.
So
I haven't even seen the trailer, if I'm honest with you.
no, nor have I. Well, I've seen the trailer,
I've not
but
seen
I don't really know the original Dune.
Oh right.
Dune.
Is it based on something?
It's based on a book. Yeah,
Oh.
But there's been a film before.
there has. I think in the 80s
Yeah.
or 70s,
There
can't
you go.
remember which. So yeah, so this is apparently a modern adaptation of it.
I like that. But yeah, apparently it's doing well. So if you do make it to the cinema to check it out, I've been told that you will very much enjoy yourself. Our YouTube feature this week was actually recommended for the first time ever, recommended by a student, an F6 student and film studies student, Dan Baig, and he suggested a couple of YouTubers actually, but we decided to pick this one. His name's Tyler Mowry, and he basically analyzes films and talks about different ways you can create a screenplay, or helps you with tips about writing a script, developing ideas. For those second years out there, it's very similar to kind of the D4 Darius style vibe of YouTuber. The reason we picked this one now is because it's during the film studies section of coursework where screenplays and script writing is very much at the forefront. So if that's something you're interested in, and it's very well put together, he's got very nice. You find some people on YouTube that you'll listen to, and they're like, "Oh, your voice is a bit irritating." But he's actually, I could listen to him all day. He's actually got a really nice voice. And I like the fact that everything he talks about, he kind of justifies really well with some of the visual content that they'll show you on screen, which is pretty cool. So thank you for that, Dan, that recommendation. For those on the newsletter as well, if you're clicking on it from my email or on TechNet, you'll notice that it's completely interactive. So if you clicked on Tyler Mowry's sub count, it would take you straight to his page.
Nice.
Another thing that happened that we haven't been able to talk about since the podcast is we had our annual open evenings for the college. How do you think that went, James?
Busy.
Was busy. I felt it was busy. I heard before open evening that we'd sold 7,000 tickets. I also heard that it went up to about 9,000.
Well, we didn't sell them; they just got them for free. If they did, if we did sell them, tidy profit.
Yeah, we distributed 9,000 tickets. Oh, I said sold.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a lot of people across 3 days. Well, across what is essentially 12 hours.
Now, is that 9,000 like prospective students, or is that 9,000 including like their parents and like their whole entourage that come with them?
I couldn't tell you, if I'm honest. I don't know. I would assume
either way, it's a lot of people.
Individuals, so like a collective group.
Either way, that's a lot of bodies.
Yeah, the thing that was good about the fact that we did it for 3 days was the ability to kind of spread the herd, which is a weird thing to say.
Spread the herd.
Yeah, so basically it just meant that we could have the students that actually came, the prospective students, only had 2 hours, so they couldn't just go and float to every single department across like a 6-hour evening and kind of go, what's going on? Yeah, I'm here to do maths and science, but what's media and film do? And you know you're not going to get that student.
Yeah.
Yes, you'd get the few students who don't know what they want to do, but that's absolutely fine. But it just meant that the students in those 2 hours went to the places that they were legitimately serious about or wanted to know more about in some capacity, which was quite nice. So yeah, I thought it was an overall success.
Yeah,
it definitely beat the virtual one. Obviously, it's no one's fault that the virtual one happened. Well, no one's fault in the college anyway. But yeah, the on-site one was good. They're busy, and shout out, as it says on the newsletter, to the students.
Oh, absolutely. They made the vibe great.
Yeah, I've done 3 open evenings now, because obviously one of them was virtual. So 4 in total if you count the virtual one. And no disrespect to the old, helpers, but this year's helpers was so wicked. They had so much energy. It was like it was a party for like 4 hours, but in a good way, to kind of get a good vibe going. And shout out, I'm not going to shout out absolutely everybody, so I'm not even going to drop names, but some students, some of which were in first years, knew the ins and outs of the entire course. You know who you are, who I'm referencing, which was absolutely incredible to hear, which was pretty cool. I was in the studio myself, so I got to promote all the camera equipment, which was good. It was very much apologies to any student helpers that came in to help me in the studio, because they quickly picked up that I would say the identical thing to pretty much everybody, because you just have to reassure the prospective students that all of the camera equipment and editing software is free to use for the entirety of the 2 years, irrespective of what courses you're on. So yeah, it's still there, right
good
there.
Spiel. Good spiel.
Which was good. But no, it was good fun.
Welcome to Media and Film. What are you looking for today?
Yeah, and I heard that everyone was jealous of us and graphics, because we had very pretty looking departments, which was very fun. So all in all, I think
is there not an amusing tale from open evening of a certain Carolina coming in and a certain student not knowing who Carolina was?
God.
I've heard of this story.
Carolina, please tell us this story. This was quite funny.
Well, so I came into one of the rooms, and so I started talking to one of the students, and I said to him, like, so I'm going to be staff. I'm going to start soon, so, like, I need to know a bit about the course. And he was telling me as if I was wanting to study here. And I did tell him, but I'm going to be staff. And he's, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Like, it was so strange. But, yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that I look young, but maybe not that young.
I had the same thing. My first open evening, they were like, oh, you're staff. And I was like, yeah. But now as the years have gone on, I'm like, oh, I should have taken that as a compliment back in the day. That's a good thing. But yeah, shout out to that student for actually knowing what's the ins and outs in the course, and
but
irrespective, we'll tell anybody, which is good. So yeah, just a general kind of shout out to all of the helpers. You're all legends. It was wicked, and it was
big shout out to everyone who took over greeter duties from me, because you freed me up to basically do every other job. Love you. You're the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know who you are.
What else happened? Obviously, check out the industry news in your own time because there's loads of cool new things that have happened. Stuff like the EOS R1 apparently being announced. But yeah, check that out. And Adobe have teamed up with the Sixth Form College Association and have started putting out these kind of challenges. This one's actually on Adobe Spark, which, is if you want to learn how to use Adobe Spark, there's a nice little 15-20 minute tutorial if you click the link and take part that shows you the kind of activity they want you to do, and you can get involved and you can win, I believe, a t-shirt. But they're doing challenges pretty much every 2 to 4 weeks for the entirety of the academic year, I believe, on different bits of software, which is quite cool. So they give you a little tutorial about what it is you're supposed to be doing and the software and the technique. And then it's down to you within that 2 to 4 weeks, however long the deadline is, to go and make something and submit it, which is pretty cool. Keeps you sharp, develops the show reel. It's from Adobe themselves. So if you did ever win anything, God, it's going to look good on your uni application or your kind of CV on showreel and stuff, which is cool. So it's kind of like a win-win, all things considered. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the newsletter and the kind of department news, open evening, new staff, and a few opportunities that are coming up, which is very good as well. Yeah, new term. Film studies is priority in terms of kit, but we also very much encourage if anybody wants to take kit for their own reasons, that's absolutely fine as long as you put out a risk assessment. But yeah, exciting term, especially for us as techs. Media is absolutely great, don't get me wrong, but there's just something fun about sitting and watching student short films for 6 weeks.
And you can finally drop back into the edit suite.
Yes.
Because media aren't eating it every lesson of the week.
Yes, there is 9 lessons a week where film will be in there, but that's not even half
the whole week.
The
No.
week, is it?
No.
So, yes, if the edit suite doesn't have a class in, feel free to come in and work.
Yep.
Nice.
Then you get us basically to yourselves.
Yeah, you get the piano jazz music you've been playing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my new favourite thing, piano. Because it says Happy Thursday. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a happy Thursday. Hopefully tomorrow's says Happy Friday or have a good weekend. I'll be like, you know what? I am. This playlist has filled me with absolute joy. Is that all your news, Steve?
That is.
Excellent. Right, let's move this podcast on to our next section, which is where I basically talk about music. Whoop. So jazzy. So this section of the podcast is all about tunes of the week, where I basically listen to songs because all I do in my life is listen to songs and pick good ones that you should also listen to as well, and then plonk them on a Spotify playlist.
Is there a particular genre of music that you like?
There is. So,
Oh.
well, I like anything from the Woodstock era.
Oh,
That kind of
classic vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, that's my favorite, I think.
Nice.
I like that.
Is the music in Portugal different to the music over here?
Yes, very different.
Oh,
It's very
how
specific.
so? I'm intrigued.
Well,
Is it like more dancey, or is
it's
it
quite
more
Latin if you think Spanish music.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of Portuguese people love like Brazilian music, for example, which is all
Oh.
of that. I don't even know.
party music?
Festival
Yeah.
vibes, isn't it? Yeah.
It's, yeah, lots of
Question is which because obviously you've been over here for what, 4 or 5 years, something like that, 3, 4,
3 years.
3 years. Which music do you certainly prefer? Do you prefer music from Portugal or music from over here?
That is complicated.
Oh,
You know what? I never used to listen to like Portuguese music
yeah.
before I came to England because it's like that nostalgia, that like not nostalgia, like longing for missing
Aw.
Portugal and stuff like that. Because we're not huge on our music industry, but we have very specific like traditional types of and
Interesting.
everything. Yeah.
I'd love to learn more. But
We've just got Lewis Capaldi,
yep,
who is a legend.
Lewis
He is-
Capaldi.
He is hilarious.
Oh, but do we have him or is he Scotland's?
UK.
Yeah, near enough.
I think it's the Scots.
We'll
who don't-
claim.
The Scots who don't like us. We like the
Yeah.
Scots.
So basically every week I pick 2 songs to go on a Spotify playlist, which is available to everyone. You can like it, save it, whatever you do on Spotify, and you can listen to all the previous tracks of the week all in one big hit. Just search for the Where's My KitBag Spotify playlist. Oddly enough, it does what it says on the tin. So this week I've got 2 tracks to go in there, both a bit more kind of indie vibes. Sadly, no Woodstock era. I'll see what I can do. So the first one is a band called the Sherlocks, and it's called World I Understand. So it's a little bit more on the rockier side of indie, but also a little bit chill as well. It's a nice kind of balance between the two. And then the other one is by an artist called Genghar, not to be confused with the Pokemon. That one's just for you, Rich. And it's called Before Sunrise. Kind of think Wolf Alice.
Okay.
I think is the easiest way to think about that one. In that kind of vibe. But they're really... I basically listen to them. I've listened to so much music over the half term. I've got like a back catalogue of lists for songs to go in. And I listened to one yesterday. As Steve, you all know this. I do this a lot. I listened to a track yesterday. Went, oh my God, this is so much better. I need to pick this one. But I'm standing firm. That'll be next week.
Nice.
But yeah, it's next week. Great tune. That I found.
If you create a backlog by like Christmas, you can just chuck like 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 in on a cheeky week. A present to the to the playlist.
We can all chuck songs in.
Okay.
We just go mad. As long as they're not Christmas songs, because then that dates the playlist. It's the only category.
Yeah.
Unless we have a specific Where's My Kit Bag Christmas playlist.
Have you heard that Mariah Carey's defrosting already? She's ready. She's already climbing up the
Defrost?
charts.
Oh, what? No.
Yeah. All I Want for Christmas Is You is already climbing the charts in the first day of November. She makes like millions in royalty every single year from this.
Where is she?
I don't think she's in the top 100 yet.
Oh, she's not in the top 100
yet?
I
don't think so,
no.
No.
Hey, here we go. Right, here we go.
I don't, but it is already, around.
No, she's not in the top 100 yet. Who knows where she is?
It's already, I believe it was a Spotify stream where it's in terms of like a Spotify.
I mean, Fleetwood Mac and Dreams is still there.
Isn't that from that skating meme back in the day?
Probably.
That's where that
I
came
mean, Dreams
from.
is from like the 80s. Anyways, the chart is a weird, crazy place. But yeah, so that's the music. I would recommend it. You can find, if you look in the comment section on YouTube or wherever, there'll be a link to the song on YouTube, so you can go watch it and watch the video to go alongside of it. So yeah, I would do that if I were you. Next up, we'll do a little bit of What Have We Been Watching? So in this bit, we basically talk about what we've been watching. Hey, it is indeed what it says on the tin. Do you want me to kick proceedings off?
I mean, you can do.
Oh, it's up to you, Steve. Would you like to?
I can. Yeah, sure.
Oh, go on, Steve. You start us off.
I've watched a little bit of this and a little bit of that over the half term. Really, I've been quite busy. We finished the third season of You, which was all right. I think they're going to do another one.
Oh.
It was probably one of the weakest seasons, although it was still very enjoyable. It looked great. I think they're trying to kind of try and put a divide between the audience and Joe and Love's kind of actions, because a lot of them weren't very either one predictable or two rational, which kind of hopefully put a bit of a divide from glamorizing this weird stalker mentality that's become quite glamorous in this world.
I, for some reason, have only seen season 2 of You, and I don't know why.
You do know. Yeah.
No, it's but because at New Year's, me and my uni buds, we normally like this big kind of like massive kind of like country house, and then just kind of chill for like 6 days in that weird gap from the back end of Christmas to just the other side of New Year's. And for some reason, they were just like, we're all watching You. And I'm just like, watching me? That's weird. And then, no, the TV show. I'm like, I've never heard of this before. And everyone, for some reason, had seen season 1 except me and one of our other friends. But we're just kind of like, it felt awkward that we weren't watching it. So we just had to kind of watch it. And I was just watching it going, I don't understand what's happening. I was basically the person I hate. And I hated myself for it. But yeah, I've forgotten it all. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was alright.
That's a crap story for you.
We like to give things ratings out of 10. Usually quite genre specific. So like, a Disney 10 out of 10 wouldn't necessarily be like a Thrillers 10 out of 10. So it's kind of like a bit of a ventral thing. So I'd give it like a third season like a 7 out of 10. Overall franchise like an 8 out of 10. One of the things I quickly googled just to check that I knew it was definitely what I'd watched. On Netflix there was this documentary that I checked out. I think it was like the Saturday or even the Friday after open evening. It was called Last Breath. It's a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is probably one of the coolest and most thrilling in terms of construction This documentary was. So it was kind of a mix between archive footage and interviews, a few reconstructions here and there. But if I just read you the kind of first sentence synopsis, it's absolutely amazing. It's so gripping. It's a film, so it's about an hour and a half long. It's about a diver stranded at the bottom of the North Sea with only 5 minutes of oxygen and no chance of rescue for at least 30 minutes. Yeah, so it's about it's really impressive. So basically, these big vessels that go down, and they have divers that kind of stay in these pressurized containers for about like a month at a time, because the pressure at sea level is very different to the pressure up at the surface. So they kind of get into these pods, and they kind of sit in them pretty much for the whole month at the depth of sea level. If not, you get that kind of poisoning in your blood, which basically makes it very, very dangerous.
Yep.
Anyway,
you get the bends.
The first job they had was they went down to this oil rig or whatever, and they had to fix these pipes. Anyway, there's this kind of automated system that keeps these huge vessels in place. So when they're like 100, 250 meters down, whatever, the vessel stays in place. So this thing, I can't remember what it's called, but basically it's like this. Basically, it's anchor for them, which they're attached to this rope, which gives them warmth because it's freezing down there. It gives them oxygen, and they're attached to this kind of tether.
It's like an umbilical cord.
Basically, I think it's called an umbilical cord. That's what they call it. To get them back to the bell. It's called a bell. A bell's like this, like a vessel that kind of is sitting there waiting for them whilst they're connected. Anyway, this machine that keeps the massive, huge ship together, the machine that kind of keeps them against the tide so it doesn't float away, fails. So they drift about 100 meters like away, which meant that the umbilical cord of this one diver gets wrapped around this like rig, and it means that it just snaps. And obviously that means that he doesn't have any light, doesn't have any power, doesn't have any oxygen. There's a reserve tank of 5 minutes, but they don't know where they are because the people attached to the umbilical cord are being pulled like 100 meters away because they go back to the bell, and then the rest of it is trying to find this individual. I'm not saying what happens because it's definitely worth watching, but it is absolutely amazing.
What did you say it was on?
Netflix, called Last Breath. It's unbelievable. It's beautifully shot. The interviews are incredible. The way it's constructed, it's literally like a fictional film. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's so good.
Out of 10.
In terms of a documentary, I would be very far-fetched to give it any negatives. So I would actually give it a 10 in terms of a documentary. Because the concept and the narrative itself, they couldn't have told the story any better, especially if you don't know what happened. So definitely watch it from that perspective. It's honestly incredible. So that's one of like the cool things I watched. It's on Netflix. It's set in the North Sea, if you know where that is. So it's they are
north of Scotland.
Interesting. And then the only other thing I've started watching, because me and my partner Jade do like for weekdays watching, TV that's kind of quite easy to watch. So we've gone through trying pretty much everything. So many years ago we'd watched like Big Bang Theory, even though it has, people have their opinions on it, but it was like 10 seasons of just kind of sitcom. And then Jade had never seen Friends before, so we sat and watched all 10 seasons of that. Superstore, if you remember, James, we watched all 10 seasons of that. It's just stuff you can stick on.
Wait, there's 10 seasons of Superstore?
5 seasons of Superstore, sorry.
I think there's 6, but there's only 5 on Netflix.
There you go. And what were the other things? Modern Family, so all those kind of stuff that you can watch on you can kind of just sit and just kind of mooch and just watch it kind of passively without really having to engage with it too much, or it really stimulates you emotionally. The new one, which I don't know how we haven't got round to because I even put it on the newsletter in the end of 2019, was Schitt's Creek. Not swearing there, that is actually what it's called.
SCHITTS.
And some of the people in the department are quite surprised that I'd never seen it, and they are huge fans of it. I'm maybe 10 episodes in, and I'm liking where it's going. It's very dry comedy. I like the dry comedy. It's like Americans doing dry comedy correctly. There's no canned laughter. Nothing's too ridiculous and over the top. Like, it's quite subtle comedy, which for a British audience, and that's our style of comedy, actually works quite well.
I quite like canned laughter sometimes, but mainly to laugh at, not with.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
That's just me.
But this just works really well because it's almost like it's visually looks quite serious, but the themes and the stuff they talk about and just the way the scenes unfold and the way they're blocked is just, it's funny. It's very good. We're really enjoying it. We're pretty much watching it every night at the moment, but there's 6 seasons for us to get through, so you'll probably be hearing a lot about it probably over the next 6 weeks because we usually get through about a season a week, which is quite good.
Nice.
That's all I can really remember, but definitely check out Last Breath. You'll really enjoy it. But it's quite intense, is all I'll say. But you will enjoy it. It's good.
Nice.
Really good.
Do you want to go next, Carolina?
Sure. So, my show that I'm gonna talk about is 3% that I've been watching for the second time because I'm obsessed. I tend to watch shows like twice, which is a bit like
A lot of
sad.
people do like rewatches because then
Yeah.
they know, what to expect and they can just enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. 3% is Brazil's first Netflix production.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
it's nice to hear Portuguese being, spoken in Netflix like shows. So, so essentially, it's like a dystopian future situation. So it's based on this place that is divided into. So there's the inland and the offshore, and essentially 97% of the population lives inland and 3% offshore. And when people turn 20, they get to go through the process, which is like a series of tasks, games, things, so that they can pass to the other side, and they only get one chance in life to do it. And it gets crazy, and people feel like, no, it should have been me. And yeah, so it sparks a revolution and everything. I won't say more, but it's it's very nice to see like Brazil, because it's very Brazilian still, like even though it's this dystopian future, you can see the type of people and everything, the music. So it's just nice that it's like different, like Latin culture, but in like a dystopian. It's
So
very
do
fun.
they have to take on the task to get into the 3%? Is that like almost
Yeah.
like the paradise of sorts? And
So essentially they live in the paradise that is the 3%.
makes
Yeah.
sense. That's a pretty good concept.
Does the
actually.
percentage go up if people succeed?
It doesn't.
Oh.
I think it's just 3% that get
Oh.
to pass.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then you never get a chance again. So yeah,
Oh, that's
the stakes
brutal.
are high. Yeah,
That's brutal. One and done.
it's
oh,
it's
no.
really good.
What would you give out of 10, though? That's the big question.
Well, within the genre, I don't know, maybe like a 8. I can't find many flaws with it,
Ooh.
but I don't know if I would give it higher because I don't know much about other. I'm trying to think of like other shows within the genre, but yeah, maybe an 8 would be.
Is it a series or a film?
Yeah, so 4 seasons.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
There's an ending to it, so.
Oh, that's always satisfying. I never like those, like you get 7 or 8 seasons in and they just go, oh, it got cancelled. You're like, oh, great.
Oh,
so we'll
I
never
hate it
find-
when things get cancelled. It's so annoying.
Mm.
Oh. But no, 3 degree. Was it called 3 degrees?
3%.
3%. Apologies.
Too
What?
busy talking about the
I
temperature
know.
of the water.
Yeah. What platform is it on?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Might give that a whirl. I don't know any Portuguese, so I might get lost.
There's subtitles.
Nice. I have been watching a show called Ted Lasso, which is which I got so I saw a trailer for it and went, maybe, and then I had 2 friends say who they watched it and went, it's great, watch it. So I was like, fine, okay, I'll give it a whirl. So it's basically the story of Jason Sudeikis' character Ted Lasso, glorious moustache he's sporting, proper Nigel Mansell, and he's an American football coach, and he gets drafted over here to run a football team. So for him the wrong kind of football, for us maybe the right one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Steve's obviously got his heart in both pockets.
I like a bit of hand egg.
Nice. I've never heard you call American football hand egg.
I mean, if that's what we're going on logistics. English football is genuinely
It's football hand
Like,
egg.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll get your hand
It's
egg.
very little kicking.
Yep. Yeah. There's only one man that kicks.
It's
or
my
2,
favourite
actually.
sport in the world, absolutely, but it's very incorrectly named.
Yes. So he's a hand egg coach.
Nice.
And he comes over here to play to coach soccer or football. Obviously, soccer being the wrong term. But yeah, so it's basically the story of this kind of made-up Premier League football team called Richmond AFC, or AFC Richmond rather. And the 2 owners, they split up, so they divorced. But the wife, who was like cheated on by a like kind of rich kind of business lavish style husband, so he left the club. She inherited it and then wants to basically like see it burn. And it's basically the story of her trying to make it burn by getting the wrong football coach in. But then things ensue. Is really good character development. I really did like it. They kind of slowly introduce you, find out all the players. You don't actually see much football, which I was slightly surprised by because it's more like kind of the back end, the sort of the coaching bits. But there's currently 2 seasons on Apple TV subscription, whatever it's called.
How do you watch Apple TV if you don't have an Apple TV?
You can get the subscription as long as you've got an Apple product. So if you've got an iPad or an iPhone,
Can you then like Chromecast it? To the
I
TV?
think you have to watch it on the device.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, unless you've got an app on your smart television.
Do you reckon that it would be more successful on a more widely accessible platform?
I think it would be 10 times more successful if it was on Netflix or Prime, in all brutal honesty, or even Disney Plus or whatever. But yeah, I've there's 2 seasons. Watch both. Spam through it in literally through half term. They're sort of like 30-minute to 45s depending on the season. Season 2 though really starts going into a bit of mental health in sport, which I thought was a really nice twist.
Do you know if there's a 3rd season on its way?
I don't know. I presume there is because it ended on a really kind of like ooh kind of moment, which is the best way I can describe it. Really, not really a cliffhanger. It's more like ooh, that's where you went, and then it's kind of developed from there. But so far from what I've seen, very solid 9.
Wow.
But I think there's bits that I would change, but not much.
Okay.
Really
interesting.
I feel that some characters do get way more limelight than they need, and vice versa. Some characters who need way more limelight don't get enough.
So, is it more an English audience in the context of understanding football, or they enjoy it more with the joke of an American coach coming over, or is it for an American audience?
I think it's more because everyone is British basically in the TV show except for Jason Sudeikis and his assistant coach, who he's brought over from America, who's a great character and I want to see more of because his life seems mental and crazy, but he just knows everything, which is weird. And Ted, Jason's character, I feel like I'm on first name terms with him now, is got like the kind of almost like a bit of a ditz, and it's quite funny because he's just like, oh yeah, we don't have the right amount of players on the field, and it's just like, no, that's American football. And it's just like, so it's quite amusing in that way.
Amazing.
But yeah, but there is one shot where they do, like kind of plays where he does like one of his American football plays, but with actual football players, which is quite funny.
Wow.
And the entire defense was very confused in the kind of shot as they're all just kind of lining up like linesmen. It was well funny. But yeah, you would like that bit.
Nice.
But yeah, I'd say I'd give it a solid 9. It's not quite a 10 for me because there's certain bits that I would personally tweak, but very, very good. And I think that's the only thing I've watched. I don't think I've watched any films.
It's a busy half term.
Yeah, too busy. But yeah, I think that pretty much summarizes our podcast. I think this is episode 3 of this season.
Yeah, what are we on in total? When are we hitting that 100th episode?
You know what? I'm going to have to go back through the logs and work it out. Yeah. I think this is not the 100th episode. Otherwise, I would have made more of a fuss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be like the next 6, 7, I think.
Nice. Like that. 100 episodes, that's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
We only started it, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Crikey.
Me and you have been on every episode, we were saying a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have.
Every single one.
Yeah. Oh my God, we have, haven't we?
Crazy.
I know. Cray. But yeah, thank you very much for listening to the Where's My KitBag podcast. Make sure to track us down on our social medias at F6 Media Film on Instagram and Twitter. Look out for posts and all that jazz. If you want to get a shout out on the pod, just let us know. Either pop by the edit suite, ping us an email, technet@farnborough.ac.uk, or comment on something. We'll happily shout people out. Or if you want us to discuss something, whether it's like coursework based or something media-y, filmy, just let us know. Get in touch. The more content from you, the merrier, because we like talking about things. I think that's very safe to say. Otherwise, I've been James.
I've been Steve.
I've been Carolina.
Yes, not
Is
even
this
prompted.
what we say?
Yeah,
all right.
100%. Oh, you can stay. And thank you very much for listening to the Where's My KitBag podcast. We shall see you hopefully next week. Ta-ra.
Goodbye.
Bye.